Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at ASP Isotopes. It is time for another update, and today we'll be discussing the extension that followed through to the downside within this area as expected. And yeah, we seem to be following through even now within a larger scale, a slightly larger degree count, where we were actually still looking after another correction for even an additional low. Now we will be discussing about this because we are quite deep within certain areas of support, but I want to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are tracking a few scenarios. We have mainly on the larger scale the green interpretation, where we have a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and we are looking for a potential wave 3 to the upside. Now I want to make it clear, we are tracking here a bullish scenario, but this is not a high probability chart. If you really want higher probability setups, you should probably be looking even at other charts. Yeah, even in the same sector, like the uranium energy chart or the energy fuels chart, which have much better structures that would allow us to look in continuation to the upside with more reliability. Those can, or this chart can be tracked for a continuation in this uptrend, and even a quite aggressive one, but it is not within a pattern that allows a high probability. And honestly, I could actually even track this structure to the upside as a larger wave 1 complete. It would be within quite an ugly structure, and I would not prefer that we had already topped within the wave 1. Here, yeah, if we topped here, fine, but I would prefer that if this wave 1 is not done yet, that it didn't top here, and that it would actually see even further extensions within this structure, and it would actually be expected to build a similar pattern with what we have in the white scenario. For now, it would have a similar area of support, in fact identical, which is why we are not tracking that particular scenario, but we are looking at certain levels of support within this area in both interpretations of this larger wave 3 to the upside, where if we fail to hold the last level of support, the $2.9 level, we should be prepared for a more significant top to already be in place and a very serious retracement potentially into the entire trend, 78.6% retracement. That could actually be quite a serious correction, and it wouldn't even be as part of a reliable 1-2 setup from a larger time frame. Now, with that said, internally here we are tracking these two scenarios. In white, we are looking for a potential 1-2 setup in this area, where we have the levels of support between the $8.6 all the way down to the $4.9 level. That could still allow quite a serious extension higher, although again the 78.6% retracement must hold. And then we have the yellow interpretation, which has a somewhat overlapping area of support between the $6.6 level all the way down to the $2.9 level, which is probably a scenario that makes a bit more sense than the white interpretation. Although remember, the white scenario could allow this, or the area of support from the white scenario could work out within other scenarios as well, which is why we are tracking this mainly, because yeah, it makes more sense if we are to build a wave C to the upside within the wave 3, that the wave A is at least somewhat significantly larger than just this movement that would actually line up with a potential 1-2 setup. But again, it is the same area of support that would allow continuation higher within other interpretations. Now, with that said, in this area we are looking for support, and we have a potential 3-wave move to the downside that could form a bottom at any point, although I highly expect still another low to be formed within this area. Now, I will be removing here momentarily the area of, or the other areas of support, because we want to focus here on the green scenario. In this interpretation, we are looking for a structure that could form a bottom either within the yellow scenario or the white scenario, which is why we are tracking it in green, yeah? And within this structure, we actually prefer that we form one more low to have a full count within a larger ABC movement to the downside. Now, since this is a potential 5-wave move that has formed within the wave A, we should be highly prepared for this to be a zigzag pattern, in which case we need a 5-wave move to the downside within this additional correction. Now, how this unfolds could actually take quite a few forms due to the actual structure within it, because I am tracking right now the scenario that would allow the earliest completion, that would allow me to consider a full count at the earliest point possible. Right now, I don't consider that done, where even here I have a 1-2 setup, a 3rd wave down, a 4th wave up, and then a 5th wave that would actually still be expected. And that would be very much in line with the last level of support here in the white scenario. That would not be a problem even for the white interpretation, but yeah, we should be prepared for further extensions lower still. Now, here in this area, we have made the previous video, we had the previous video when we were into this area of resistance, or we were heading into this area of resistance for a wave 4 that would be internally for the larger wave 3. We have followed that perfectly. We have pushed afterwards. We formed a 5th wave down. We were expecting this to complete the larger wave 3 and then a 4th wave to occur still. Now this would request an updated area of resistance for the wave 4, and while we haven't necessarily confirmed that we topped in the wave 4 and that we are in the 5th wave to the downside, it is rather likely than not that this is the case. Now, within this structure to the upside, you may even be thinking, wait, this could be a 5-wave move to the upside. Although I would tell you this 5th wave would be quite weak, and if we even want to track such a potential pattern, I would also need to warn you that we have broken here below the area of support for a potential 1-2 setup from this area. Yeah, we have had already now the second break below the 78.6% retracement, which suggests that the probabilities for a 1-2 setup to work out from this area, or even an A-B setup, are reduced. And even if we may see somewhat of a relief rally right now, I would actually just continue to track this 5th wave to the downside, where I would expect to form an A-B-C movement. Now, with that said, I'm not ruling out the potential for, or the possibility of, continuation higher even within this wave 4, where a break above the 61.8% retracement at the $8.4 level would be even a signal that this structure has likely already bottomed and that we can look for an even larger movement to the upside. Yeah, not necessarily to new all-time highs, but a larger movement for sure out of this initial structure to the downside. Yeah, it could be a wave B, and that could still head lower in a wave C, but we would then consider this overall structure complete in that case. But again, I need to see for that a break above the 61.8% retracement. Now, as I was saying, this is the count that would allow for the earliest point of completion, the earliest structure that could have a full count within a wave C, because realistically, I could consider this to be a wave 1 down, yeah, not this to be the entire wave 1 down, a wave 2 up, and then this would be an ABC structure within a wave 3 that would actually require quite significant extensions lower within our larger correction. Now, we won't focus on that right now because we are still within the possibility of completing these structures sooner rather than later, but if we have completed, or when we actually complete this 5th wave, we will be looking for such potential, and we will be looking for the relevant resistance levels that need to be broken for a signal that, yeah, indeed those structures are not going to play out. We need those levels of confirmation, and right now on this chart we don't have any signal that we have bottomed. We had here a maybe potential initial wave 1 to the upside, but here again we broke below the area of support. We have now tested it from below and we got rejected once again. Now again, this is a very small time frame, so I wouldn't focus too much on this. It could still work out. We have a corrective pattern going on within this area, and yeah, right now I won't be making any bets. But for me, it is not an interesting area. Yeah, maybe if we form the bottom here in the 5th wave, we could be looking with some more interest. But right now, yeah, it's not really the case. Not for me anyway. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover. And I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.